This episode of the Community Workbench podcast is brought to you by yours truly, the realtor Matt Norton of Remax Bell Park Realty. For all of your real estate needs, call me 860-428-6534. Your dreams are my job. Today, my daughter wanted me to do a little plug for Cuddles for Comfort. The NOW, or Northeast Opportunities for Wellness, Girls Empowerment Group, is collecting stuffed animals for the child advocacy centers in Northeast Connecticut. The drop-off location is 181 Main Street, Danielson, Connecticut, 06239. If you have any stuffed animals that you're not using, please send it over there. It's a stuffed animal drive for the advocacy centers where they do forensic intakes and other things like that. So they really depend on your donations. Again, that's at 181 Main Street, Danielson, Connecticut, 06239. Any stuffed animals are welcome. All right, welcome to the Community Workbench. This is Matt Norton and Kyle Morrissey. We are your hosts of the #1 podcast in my basement. Every week we bring you small businesses, entrepreneurs, community leaders, charities, pretty much whoever we feel like talking to, all in trying to restore that sense of community. And today we feel like talking to Wicked Sinister Smokehouse with Paul Levesque.
Hey guys.
Hey, Paul.
Hey, Paul.
Really, thank you for having me on. I
Dude.
really do appreciate that.
I've been so excited about this. I eat at your place as often as I can get down there. And
Understood, man. Hey, look, you know what I mean? There are, I get it. Going with the wind, there are things that we do every day. It's hard to always,
yeah.
to get where we want to go. I mean,
But when I get there, it is a reward.
thank you so
for
much.
sure.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
And now you're in Danielson, right behind Danielson Surplus.
Yes, sir.
What road is that exactly?
It's Central Street, 14 Central Street.
14 Central Street. So just really cool place. If you have a chance, you got to get down there and visit Paul. The menu is different every day, right? Pretty much.
Yeah, like it
Or
kind of like
special.
yeah. So we try to do like a certain special for like each day of the week, and then it's also accompanied with the fact of, can I pull it off because of how much time I had the previous 2 days to get my life in order to do what I got to do. So it's always changing. There's hopes and dreams of being like, this day is that, on a consistent basis, but life sometimes, how the ebbs and flows, it's not always possible when you're where I'm at.
Yeah,
So,
but it also leaves you open to be able to try stuff and be creative, which I feel
yeah,
like you have been hardcore creative.
I've been trying to the whole thing, and I've learned this a long time ago, was in order to differentiate yourself from everybody else, you got to be willing to do what other people aren't. Nobody ever changed the world doing the same thing as somebody else. So when I started doing this several years ago, learning how to do this, I learned the basics, you know what I mean? Because smoking meat, there's four elements that come together to create the fifth. You know what I mean? You have earth, which is the wood. You have the wind, which creates the
Draft,
airflow.
airflow.
You have fire. You have wood is the, you know what I mean? Like, and then the fifth element comes into play. The water comes into play into the cooking chamber to keep things moist, and to a point of, you can add flavors and everything like that to the chamber underneath the meat. So as the fat is rendering down into it, the boil of the smoking, just above boiling, you know what I mean? So it's constantly simmering, getting into the smoke. It's creating the fifth element of smoke, you know what I mean? So it's really combining all these basic elements and, really thumbing the nose at all the other ways we've begun accustomed to, because everything has become how quickly you can get something done. Everything is how fast is your internet, how fast can I get through the drive-through, how fast can I get through my day, how fast
Right.
you know what I mean? We've become robots to the point of you know, I'm like, oh my god, I had to wait 5 minutes for my food. And I just wanted to kind of thumb my nose at that and be like, listen, like, take a load off.
Right.
You know what I mean? Put your
Yeah.
phone down, spend some time with your kids, your family, talk at the table.
Co-workers.
You know what I
on
mean? I
lunch,
mean,
whatever.
I tell my people, whoever's in Bluey, go out there and, you know, strike up a conversation. You know what I mean? Help them pass the time a little bit, other than just sitting there staring like, you know, where the heck is my food? You know what I mean? You know, give them an experience that is a little bit different than anywhere else you go.
And worth waiting for.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
so they didn't get agitated beforehand, and then so when they finally get their food and it it exceeds their expectations, because um, how much effort of what I put into it beforehand
Yeah.
into hey
Yes.
and
Dogs have arrived.
yeah, no, cool. And just and finally being able to make that connection with people that I've been searching for my entire life. It, finally, I found it through barbecue.
Yeah.
Nice.
Wow. Now, what was your background before barbecue? Would where'd you grow up?
I've been I've lived in D-Burg just about
D-Burg.
the dirty D my
So
entire
if
life.
you live or work in Danielson, are you a D-burger?
pretty much. I mean, actually, that should be a menu item that we should add there, the D-Burger.
Nice.
You know what I mean?
What would be on it?
I don't know. It's that's
Sounds like bacon.
to be determined. Everything's better with bacon, so I agree with that. That's where you start.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean?
It's all bacon.
The meat comes after, but you start with the bacon. I agree. I like that. You know, that's so funny. But no, what I started out with is that growing up like I did, you know, no money, no real you know, our family, where we come from, you know, nobody ever goes to college, you know what I mean? So it's the idea of like, all right, so you go to trade school. And that was kind of like really implemented in my head at a very early age. So I kind of went into it with that idea that I'm not going to college
Okay.
my entire life. That's never was an option. Don't muddy, you know. So I went to trade school. I didn't know what I wanted to do. It's weird that I ended up in the electrical field because I was petrified of electricity.
Oh yeah.
I was petrified of it, and I'm like, I'm going into a career of something that's gonna kill me.
That's
You know,
that's
and I'm
kinda
like,
how
what
I
am I
feel
doing?
about
But
it.
like, you know, I had, you know, I had some good friends that were going in there, and I really liked the trade, and um, eh, how things worked out. It's funny how life works out, and the people that you come across at certain times, and how where the wind takes you in life,
Yeah.
and where you end up and what you go through, and as you learn as you go,
Right. Right.
you know. But
Now, you went to Ellis Tech. That's
I did.
Yeah. So, and you went for electrical. It's
I did.
funny because when I was in electrical, I knew at a very young age, and I was in electrical for 3 days. And I knew, I was like, if I'm in this, I'm going to burn someone's house down.
Yeah, that's how I felt too. But I was like, let's do it.
So I was like, yeah, I'm good.
I remember because like it's funny what sticks with you, you know, growing up. Like I don't remember much, but there are certain, you know, snapshots in your mind. And we had this gentleman that my mom would always come into, you know, to our house to do, you know, some electrical work. His name was Larry Fitz. He was a commercial electrician. And I would always be fascinated, you know, watching him work. You know what I mean? I'd like anything that, because I was never exposed to that, not having a father. So like anytime there was a male person around doing like, you know, what was perceived as male things to do, I'd be very interested in what was going on.
Right.
And I was watching him, and he would mess with me. He'd be like, he would start shaking like he was getting like, and I just would like cry and like run in the other direction, and I was like, yeah, let's do that for a living.
Yeah. Well, he looks like he's having fun with it.
But it's true. When you're an electrician, you do have to have a sense of humor about it, because one of the moments that kind of like deterred me when I was going through everything, my dark period, a couple years ago, there were these people, this house, they were moving in like around Christmas, and just very, they were affiliate. I think they were both like, no, he was affiliated with, he was a teacher at UConn, and these people just think that whatever they say can just,
Happen.
make things move. And I told him, I said, listen, CLMP's not coming here until this date to do the changeover. They're like, well, that's unacceptable. We're moving in on this date. And I said, well, what do you want me to do?
Light some candles.
You know what I mean? Like, and they were like, so the builder came and he's like, listen, can you help them? I didn't want to do it. And I was like, all right, I'll just do the changeover. You know what I mean? You can get moved in, and against my better judgment, and I learned, and that day when I pulled the meter out, it was an older meter on the house that we were trying to upgrade, and the cover slid down, and it came within a paper width of going across the jaws. And I sat there and going through, this is during the pandemic, this is during, another thing that clicked inside me where I was like, I'm done.
Yeah.
And that was another moment that I said, I'm done trying to make other people happy at the cost of my life.
Right.
My wellness, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I made a choice. I took my hand and I hit the thing, and the thing went flying in the air. And I finished the job because that's what you do.
Right.
But that was just another brick in the wall, man.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, that's scary.
There's been a lot of that.
Yeah, I actually just saw a video of someone doing it. I might have sent it to you. I don't know. But of that exact what you're talking about. It looked like there was an older guy instructing a younger guy on how to do it or whatever, and it slipped.
This is why you need two people, you know what I mean, to
older guy
hold.
ripped the kid away from it as it came down. And
Oh,
blew
yeah,
up
you did.
his
Yeah.
face. And
My God.
it is scary. And if that's what you're cut out for, that's what you're cut out for, and that's fine. It's just
I think that's the day I stopped laughing.
oh,
Where I lost my sense of humor about it all.
yeah,
Because it was just like salt in the wound, because I didn't want to do it in the first place. I'm like,
Right.
why am I risking my life
yeah,
for
paycheck.
these people that don't care about
Yeah.
right.
me at
And
all?
and in the end, it's for a paycheck, and
You know what? But sometimes
It's-
you get to a certain point where you're like, how much do I jeopardize my happiness for money?
Right.
I already, and that's the point where I started realizing I have everything a man that could ever want. I got the brand new house, the perfect wife, the perfect family. I had everything, but I was still miserable.
right.
So I made a conscious, I was like, what's wrong? And my wife was just like, listen, you need to figure it out, because,
Right.
we all walk on eggshells around here. You know what I mean? I was 7 days a week, you know what I mean? 100 hours, 80 hours, whatever it took. You know what I mean? I was
Yeah.
a maniac, which explains my back and my carpal tunnel now. But I had to make a conscious effort to change,
Right.
to do something different.
Yeah.
And I realized that I've spent my entire life trying to make others happy at the cost of my own. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
thinking,
Your own
I'm
happiness.
like I wanted to have thinking that winning other people's approval, doing what they want, would make them happy, which then would make me happy. And it took me over 40 years to realize that that's not correct.
Right.
So
And then barbecue. What's your background on barbecue?
Up until
Okay.
about 5 years ago, I seriously I couldn't start a charcoal grill. I'm not even kidding you. My in-laws had to help me. Um, to I could because I used to grill on a gas grill with, and I douse it in my
Cheap
steak
marinades.
my steak in like Sweet Baby Ray's sauce before I put it on my gas grill. That was my barbecue.
Yeah.
And my wife would always make fun of me. She would always be like, she goes, "You don't know how to cook," and I didn't. You know what I mean? The first time I did bacon, I put butter in the pan first, and I smelled burnt bacon in my house that I just moved into for an entire week. True stories, man. I don't know how I learned how to do this, man. I just woke up one day, and I, I, I needed a new
A new gig.
so I needed a new grill. Well, no, it started out as that we bought this charcoal grill on a Black Friday kind of thing, and I didn't open it for like 3 years at my old house. It stayed in the garage, just stayed there. She's like, "Are you ever gonna open this thing?" And I'm like, "Yeah, let's do this." And that's when I started with the charcoal grill that my in-laws had to help me out with. Yeah, it's pathetic, and that's where it started. And because like working the 6 7 days a week all the time, there were points that I would just be like, okay, you know what, I'm gonna not work and I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna do some steaks. And that's where it all started,
Yeah.
that I'm removing myself. I'm sorry,
That's okay.
I'm
That's Kyle's
I'm
camera.
I'm gonna remove myself from the stress, and I'm gonna sit there and you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Those were the happiest moments for me.
Right.
And I think when I made the choice to go on forward, I mean, that's why, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
That was I was like, wait a minute, what if I could actually do this for a living?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's where it kind of all started, you know.
So what was your first smoker? Was it?
It was right before the pandemic kicked off in that November. Before, what was that, December, November, when we started hearing those awful things going on.
Yeah.
And we had a vacation coming up into the Dominican. We almost got stuck there, by the way. We missed it by a
Wow.
couple days. Coming back, well, on the way back, I'm like, yeah, I hope they let us in. I don't want to get stuck here. But the I'm sorry, what were we talking about there?
So you're starting off. What
First
was your
smoker.
first smoker?
My first smoker, yeah. So it was in November. I bought my first smoker, before the pandemic, and I knew the instant that I seasoned it with, paper towel and olive oil and rubbing it on the grates. The moment that I fired it up, I'm like, I like this. You know what I mean? I didn't even cook anything yet, and I'm like, I'm digging it.
Yeah.
And I think the thing that I like about it the most is that we spend our entire lives, rushing around and trying to get from point A to point B as quick as we can, and we're missing it.
Yeah.
We're
Yep.
missing the entire thing because and so this is kind of like my way of literally slowing things down. Good things take time.
Yeah, like charcoal grills is always a better flavor. I cook on a charcoal grill.
Right.
I cook on a couple of different ones, and I don't even like to cook like in a traditional kitchen way.
I can't.
I don't want to cook in the kitchen.
No, I need to be outside.
Yeah, I like the outside thing. When we go camping, we'll cook over the fire and
Yeah,
we'll cook on a charcoal grill. I have a trash can smoker, which is a lot of fun, but and it's easy. So I need simplicity.
Like a drum smoker, you mean?
Yeah, it's a stand-up cylinder.
Mm-hmm.
It has a trough for charcoal around it, and you put the meat. Start off with this. Has a plate you put in the bottom. You put the wood chips all around it,
Mm-hmm.
and in the plate is for.
Is it a Weber?
Nope, it's an Orion.
All right.
And we always thought it was modeled after the trash can cooker. They just kind of commercialized it.
Mm.
And so, like, I pour beer in this tray. It just says it's a tray for the drippings, but I always pour beer in it
Mhm.
to help the smoke.
It keeps it keeps the moisture inside the chamber, which is very
Yeah.
important of not drying the meat out,
Yeah.
but also adding flavor to the smoke as well. That's
Right.
penetrating the meat as well. So it's
Right.
that's part of the process.
And it's cool because it has a bird rack So you can put a full chicken in there.
Mm.
You can put 2 full racks of ribs in there,
Mm-hmm.
and then you put the top on, and you put charcoal on the top as well. So it's got this, top and bottom, condensed heat or convection
Interesting.
heat or whatever I guess they call it.
Hmm.
And there's just a little pinhole for relief valve, and it'll smoke a chicken and 2 racks of ribs in an hour and 10, and it's like ton of smoke flavor, and it's
Tender as can be too.
pretty tender. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, falling off the bone, kind of tender.
Yeah, no, it's kind of like a fast slow cooker in a way. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
so it's like taking all that heat and smoke and just like,
yeah.
you know what I mean?
I've done
Cooking it very
nothing
fast.
with flavors in comparison to your food. That's for sure. Let's just get that
Oh,
straight.
no, but I
When
don't.
you have an hour to kill, and just you can smoke a whole chicken in an hour.
Right? And
Nice.
and you sit out there and you have a drink and
Yeah.
you know what I mean, and just
BS with the friends and family.
friends and or just blow off some steam of life. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it's yeah, no, that's kind of like where it started for me. Like this is where I feel the best.
Right. Right.
This is the best version of me.
Yeah. Nice.
So
So that was your first smoker was like probably a traditional.
it was an Oklahoma Joe offset that I bought at Lowe's for $250.
Nice. You still have it?
I have 2 of those, and I have another vertical offset from them as well.
Oh wow. So do you
So-
still use those to
In
cook
my
for the
driveway,
restaurant?
yeah.
Do you cook for the restaurant?
No,
Oh.
no. I mean, I think I did once when I was doing some prime rib on a Christmas, because I was running at a different temperature than what I had going on in the big smoker in Choo Choo. So,
Yeah.
um,
Choo choo. So you call it choo choo.
yeah, no. So when I bought my smoker in February of 2022, and I brought it home,
This is the trailer one.
yeah, the one that cooks everything now.
Yeah.
So I brought it home, and it was snowing, it was winter, it was like cold. It was an adventure. I was going through some sickness, and I couldn't even lift my arms up. I can't even tell you unexplained illnesses. It was horrendous. So that was an adventure in itself. But when I got home, thankful that we had made the trip safely, and the next day, my daughter came out, was looking at the smoker, and I said, it's customary to give the smoker a name. She's like, oh. I said, well, what do you think? She goes, it kind of looks like a train. I was like, yeah, it does look like a train, doesn't it? I said, do you want to call it Choo Choo? She's like, yeah, let's call it Choo Choo.
Mm-hmm.
So that's
So that it rang.
that's how the smoker got its name.
Nice. Now, how did you come up with the name, which I think is awesome, Wicked Sinister?
Well, that's in a culmination of my entire life.
Okay.
I often to sum it up in a real quick
You don't have to
way
be
of
quick.
no, but like to do it in a just a general manner of speaking, to give it some, I don't know, a vision would be. Are you familiar with a book called Gerald McBoing Boing by Dr. Seuss?
I don't think so.
No.
It's about a little boy that he can't talk correctly. All he does is make noises, and he goes bing bong, bong, and his parents are like so concerned, they don't know what to do, and everybody that was in his life just got upset. They didn't know how to deal with him, so he was really sad, and he got really depressed, and it was like snowing, storming out, and he just grabbed all his stuff, jumped out the window, and he went out into the darkness, into the storm. That's kind of how like I relate to it. Of I've been inside that darkness for so long that I finally decided to make a choice to make a change and come out. And I've been working on with therapy and medicine and trying to make my life better. And that's what this is all about. To try to that's why I love being at Central Street, because there's such a negative feeling with that spot, what was there before, in the neighborhood and the whole 9 yards. And I love the fact that I'm sitting there changing the script.
Nice.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I love that.
So,
That's so cool.
and you know what I mean? Because I've heard people be like, oh, it's a so-so neighborhood. And I'm like, you know what? I've never had any issues. I've had literally one time, somebody that was homeless break into my little blue trailer there and stole some Gatorade and Doritos or something.
But even so, like even the nicest neighborhoods have break-ins. They have
Right,
their
but
types
what
of
I'm saying, like,
stories.
yeah, you know what? There are definitely some eccentric people that walk by every day, but as weird as it is, I mean, like, there is such a story behind this spot that the day that when Jill St. Clair, our town economic developer, showed me the spot that it was available, I mean, I didn't know the weight of it at the time until a year or two later, going through therapy, that I made the connection of the importance of this spot in my life
Wow.
and how I came into this world,
Yeah.
you know, and and all the bad things that go with it. And I sit there and I go, I'm 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 rewriting. I'm doing something different here, and I see everybody that's in this block and across the street from me. You know, everybody that's pulling the rope. You know what I mean? There's a great vibe.
Oh,
Did you know
yeah.
Sweet Cheeks is moving in there, between the buildings? I'm not supposed to talk about that.
We didn't know.
You don't know? Oh yeah, you all right. Can we edit that? Can I cut?
We're live, buddy.
Oh man, I shouldn't have said anything. But but I've talked to them
Good
multiple
PR.
times. They're so nice, and they
Yeah.
asked me, and I thought it was such a great compliment being there in the alley, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
and being there. And I'm not going to talk about it anymore. So, but I'm very excited.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Just the neighbor.
we-
So what I'm saying, even on my block and the people across the street, you know what I mean? There's just a great vibe, and
Right.
I literally feel it. So
Yeah.
when I hear things like somebody saying something negative about a neighbor of mine, I start getting like, defensive, because I feel like,
Yeah, well,
You
I
know?
mean, I grew up with baby boomers all around. My mom has an uncle who had 14 kids.
wow,
Yeah, and and we all work together or see each other, or we know of each other, and our friends know of each other. I mean, I have a cousin that has to go home and ask her mom when she met somebody, are we related? Just like it was always a
my
thing. So
gosh.
when I was a carpenter, I hired one of the baby boomers, and he talks about when Main Street would thrive in the 60s and 70s. It was a
Mm.
destination place. He's like, you go down there during the day, and there was just people coming from every angle. There was vendors out. There was all kinds of. It was like a mall. There was just
Yeah.
people everywhere buying stuff and selling stuff, and it was just like this really beautiful place to be. And like mill workers there,
Yeah.
kind of had like this. When you think of a mill worker now, like it has a bad connotation, but back then he's like, those were the jobs everybody thrived for. Like that was like the
My mother worked at Anchor Glass for 31 years till they closed down.
yeah. It's a tragedy that our society kind of looks down on that type of thing now, and
I just consider it another blue collar, hard working.
oh God, yeah, and it's
You know?
it's an amazing thing what this area used to produce,
Mhm.
and how all those would help all the other small businesses thrive so much. And
Yeah.
he'll almost come to tears just talking about the way Danielson was. It From there, it's hit some dark times.
Yeah, man.
We can't deny it. The same with Putnam. Look at Putnam now.
Right.
And now Danielson's making its switch to that better light, that higher level, and it's.
But I think it's because, I mean, even because I think kids like our age, guys our age, people our age, think about it when we were kids. And,
right. Yeah.
I remember I lived right by Rivers Grinders there, off of Maple Street by
Yep.
Ellis Tech there. I lived in that neighborhood over there.
Gotcha.
But it was nothing for me and my friends always cutting through the cemetery to go up to Ernie's, you know what I mean,
Yeah.
and buy some Moxie and whatever, and you know what I mean. I just Ernie's was such a staple in my childhood, going there every day, and you know, I, the neighborhood. It was funny because when you're a young man, like, and you're going through all those growing pains, I couldn't wait to get out of here. That was a thing. I'm like I said, once I'm able to, I'm out of here. I spent my entire life trying to find, and yet now I'm 40 years old,
You don't
and
want to be anywhere
and I'm
else.
like, I'm thankful where I am right now. For now, you
Yeah.
know what I mean. One day I do plan on retiring where I don't have to shovel and all that stuff. But
Yeah.
for right now, I mean, this is the perfect place because there are a lot of things I still have to do here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So and I'm finally glad to be starting to be part of the community. When I was an electrician, I wasn't that before. I was just always going headed south and missed and just working. And so a lot of people around here don't know who I am, but I've lived here my entire life, just
Yeah.
about.
Yeah, I'm glad the way you said that too. It's I still have things to do here. It's
Mhm.
you definitely taking that ownership, and that's what this is all about. Is someone can say, "Oh, they need to do that." It's who's they?
Mhm.
You are the community, and if the community doesn't turn it around, no one's going to.
Right.
So to have that ownership of
Right, to be
community,
part of, and that's what I love about it, to be that spoke in the wheel, because I feel like there is a want and a need for it, because I see these people
yeah,
every day.
yeah,
There's no excuses that I see the same people walk by me every day grinding it out,
mm-hmm.
depending the people who don't have cars and walking by every day, walking to Big Y to work or wherever they're going. You know what I mean? People that are doing it every day.
Yeah,
And I'm when I walked away from the electrical thing, I mean, I had a great income, man. Like, my wife and I were killing it,
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, I'm done. And I stopped, and I ruined my credit. I ruined everything. Like, I don't, you know what I mean?
tough.
So I literally just free fell.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
Ugh.
but it was on purpose,
Yeah.
because I needed to undo everything that led up to that
It was
point, because
calculated.
it was I had to let go. You know what I mean? In order to
But sometimes that's the only way to get out, right?
yeah.
If you talk yourself into, all right, I'm gonna wean myself off. You never do, right? Because
Mhm.
it's easy to throw money at you. I worked
Jump out of the nest.
as a paramedic for 8 years, and then I got to a point, same thing. You have to pick a crossroad, and you
Mhm.
can't just slowly get out because they'll keep throwing stuff at you to get back in.
Right.
Yeah.
You know?
Right. 100%.
Yeah, it kind of gives you that clean slate by letting go, and even if it's detrimental to things, but it's also for the overall better, the bigger picture better.
Right. Yeah. And I and I can't say this uh w- emphatic enough, that my wife is so important in this entire process. I would not be able to do what I do without her, because I've never had the kind of support my entire life that I do with her.
Nice.
So she didn't really have much of a choice in the matter of me doing this. I just kind of said, okay, it's my turn. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I feel like I've been holding my breath for a long time.
But
Yeah.
she noticed that like something had to change,
Right.
and for you to
She was asking for it. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah.
Like, to a certain degree. I mean, she didn't realize what entailed with that, but what came with it. But
I think it speaks to character too. For It's hard to walk away from money.
yeah.
The kind of money you're making in overtime, 80 hours, right? It's really hard.
I mean,
But you hit a point in your life where you don't care about money anymore.
it's not
You
about
want
money.
to see your family. You want to see.
I want to be close to home.
Yeah. You want all these
Mhm.
things that money can't buy you.
I felt like I was running out of time.
Yeah.
I wanted to slow things down.
Yeah.
Well, metaphorically speaking, I mean, what better way to take than an entire day to cook a piece of meat? You know what I mean?
I mean, she probably thought, we'll never make money if you're taking that long to smoke
Really,
meat."
she did not understand it right away, and why I kept going out there. It'd be a blizzard out there, foot of snow, 18 inches, blowing wind, snow, just horrible. and I'd be out there cooking a pork butt, you know what I mean, and being completely happy doing so.
Right.
I mean, it's different now being in business and doing it every day. You know what I mean? It's a different kind of grind.
Right.
But so you really have to focus on the love of what you're, you know what I mean, what you're doing, and you know what I mean, and be thankful of where you are. I mean, there's good and there's bad and good to everything that
nothing's
you do.
perfect.
Yeah, right.
Sure.
So I mean, there's obviously things about what I'm doing now that's not my favorite. Like, you know,
You probably got to shovel that lot.
no, I didn't do it once. I just said
really?
I just
we had
you
a
know
mild winter too.
we had a really mild winter, and I figured, yeah, you know what? It's winter, it's icy. If you can't figure that out, then you know what I mean. Go ahead. I don't have any money, so so you're good luck with all that. But no, everybody was really cool, man. No, it just kind of worked out.
Do you find you enjoy smoking meat now just as much as you did when you were sort of like started
Even more so.
experimenting?
Even
Yeah,
more so.
That's awesome.
I'll tell you, it's because there's so many options. So I've always had this thing that I've always loved. Like when I was in band, you know, writing music, it was always about creating.
Yeah.
You know, I've always had this insatiable love of creating things. I can never make things something good enough, perfect enough.
Yeah.
When
You can never
whatever I
scratch
did,
that
you know what I
itch
mean.
enough.
You know what I mean. I could never, you know what I mean, satisfy. It was insatiable.
Right.
And now I've learned to just enjoy the moment, be in the now a little bit more. You know, through therapy and really talking about things and appreciating just being in the moment now and allowing myself to feel good about what I'm doing and not, you know, letting other people just, you know, when you get programmed, when you get beaten down over the course of many years of negative connotation, you have a reflex later in life that it's an endless cycle. You know, so in order to break that, that's the part that I'm really excited about and making changes, and it's actually happening, and my wife sees it, and we're just I'm so excited for the rest of this year, and we got a lot of great events coming up. So
Nice.
yeah, man.
Nice. And it's mobile too, right? So you're at different events.
Yeah, we're so that's a great thing because right now my offset smoker, it can. We've been really focusing on trying to just, you know, keep building the growth there at 14 Central, but also at the same time, you know, taking on events because that's what pays the bills. You know, so there's a lot of you know, private events, public events that are coming up. You know, so that's why we always ask people to follow our Facebook or Instagram. Like, hey, you know, we're not going to be here today because we're at an event. You know, follow what we're doing. You know what I mean? It's. I feel bad when people show up and we're not there. You know, I try to let people know as soon as I know. But in barbecue, it's not. You know, it's not like a normal restaurant situation. You know what I mean? It takes a long time to cook the food. So
Yeah, and it's almost worthwhile if you, I know it's not for me, but to design, you know, part of your, I don't know, Facebook would be capable of it, or any social media or a website where you have a calendar, so people can just go right on and say, hey, he's open today, or hey, he's in the Hebron Fair today. He's at Brooklyn Fair.
yeah, man. Like, and there probably is. I'm an idiot. I don't.
Believe me, I barely run a Gmail calendar
He knows
myself.
very well about that.
You know what I mean? Like, I just
I think there is. I'll actually look. I'll see if there's a way to do it.
it sounds very logical, and like there should be something like that right now.
We've run into a lot of things we thought were logical here,
And nothing materialized from it.
Paul and I traded emails, and I still can't send an email to him this day.
Isn't that crazy?
Well,
Like,
I have no idea, because
what-
I sent him an email, and he was like, I thought they were going to invite me. So we have my cousin is a mutual friend with him, and he's like, dude, how come you haven't called Paul back? And I'm like, I didn't get his email.
Nobody got anything.
Yeah, it was so weird.
But at least we were able to figure it out.
Yeah.
Other avenues, you know.
Right, that's when you got to go and talk to people and
Just show up.
you know, yeah, just show up.
Just
that's
show
fine, too. Yeah, and I almost showed up today for lunch. I was my wife and I have a few days off for multiple reasons.
Don't come on Monday, man. We're
Yeah,
not there.
Oh, really?
No,
I was like trying to convince her. I'm like, let's go to Wicked Sin. Let's go to Wicked Sin. And she was like, we'll go out to eat tomorrow. Today we had too much of the punch list we were trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
So
Life.
So you're
you're-
off Mondays?
Monday and Tuesdays, yeah.
oh wow,
Yeah,
so we gotta
so
wait till Wednesday.
Wednesday, yeah. So because right now it's still in the early phases of it, like I still I struggle with the balance of because the business that I do takes up a lot of my time, like a lot of it.
And you love it.
And I do love it. No,
So
don't get me
that's-
wrong, but
I get it because that's my issue too for work-life balance. It's like you love it, so it's like, why wouldn't I return this call? You know,
Mhm.
realtor. or
But, like,
why wouldn't I
yeah.
go do it? Even though they will wait until tomorrow morning
Mhm.
when it's business hours. It's 8 o'clock at
But
night.
you figure that's what
I'll put the
separates you
kids-
from everybody else because, you know, those people who would wait till the next day, you're already calling them back, like, attentive. Like,
Yeah.
it speaks to character and people respond to that,
right.
you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. Like when you want to do something just because you want that product to be perfect, you want that whatever to, you know,
It upsets me when it's less than my expectations,
Right.
you know? And the first, I don't know, however many months it happened, you know, a bunch of times, like stuff would go out that is less than, you know, because I was still, you know, learning
Yeah.
of how to do, you know, how to run a smokehouse business.
yeah.
Coming from the field that I did, it's a complete, you know, 180. And
Yeah. One of them you want smoked.
like,
the one you
I don't know how to cook,
Hey, I like that.
you know, it's crazy, man.
It's wild that you went from like one field and then to another one, but you had no experience in it. You're like, yeah.
I couldn't cook. I had no experience cooking. I told you guys what I used to do. Like, you know, cooking like box macaroni and cheese was a dinner for me and the boys when I was a young man in my 20s. You know, like, I don't know where it came from. You know what I mean? But like something happened like during that time of where between the pandemic, the stress from work, my wife and I were trying to have our second child conceived. We were unsuccessful for 2.5 years. You know, couple maybes and then no's, and then you know going through in vitro, and the first time was unsuccessful. And my wife, she was and by the way, speaking of, because we just went through Mother's Day that just went by, how much respect I have for every single woman that's ever gone through that process with her in vitro is just like, I told her, I looked at my wife and I said, you know, if you don't want to do this, please let's stop, because she was in so much pain, you know what I mean, with the injections.
And the mental toughness. that
Y-
they-
you know, and she was just like, nope, I want to try again. She didn't even flinch.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the doctor was like, all right, so we're going to take a month off and then we'll try again the following. And then in the month off, that's when we conceived with our
Nice.
daughter.
Oh.
And now we have a 3-year-old. She just turned 3, and she is hell on earth. And I said, remember, you wanted this.
Well, be careful.
This is to be careful what you wish for. You know what I mean? But my God,
That's
my kids
funny.
are smart. They're so smart.
Yeah.
They learn so quick.
Yeah.
Because my girls, they speak multiple languages because my wife's Brazilian.
Oh,
Oh wow.
You know what I mean? So, and they can sit there and she's 3, can speak in full sentences in Portuguese, and then like be like, oh, you know, they'll say like, oh, tell your father in Portuguese, and she'll look at me and speak in English full sentence and just spit it out. She's 3.
Wow.
You know what I mean? I'm like,
Yeah.
Bilingual children always amaze me.
Yeah,
Always.
incredible.
Well,
because-
especially in like your house, because you wouldn't necessarily be speaking Portuguese the whole time, right, between you and your wife. So
No.
it's like half and half, maybe not even, and then they
much less because
still-
I'm hardly there. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
I'm always working.
yeah.
So and just how they able to absorb it
Yeah.
is so cool.
The brain is more set up for language, like intake, I guess is the word. Like it's set up for that
Mhm.
from like birth to 5. That's like when we should teach kids
Right.
multiple languages.
When
It's
we
not 7th grade and 8th grade French like I took.
no,
It's just-
but like when we
that's-
went to Canada, they were we hopped on one of those boats, not boats, the buses there that cruise around Montreal, right? The one of
Yeah.
those double deckers, and
Oh,
the
wow.
woman was saying like how it's one of the safest places to live. Out of the whole year, there was only 4 murders the entire year in this city of Montreal. Like there was just, you know what I mean?
Really?
They're like, yeah, and then in the city of Montreal, there was like it's a crazy safe place to live. And what's awesome is that every family that lives there speaks at least 2 different languages. Most of them 4, 5, 6, 7 different languages in one household.
Wow.
And I sit there and I look at us and I'm like, man, I feel so dumb.
I barely speak English.
Like I can't even do that right.
You're so good at creating language.
Yes, I create.
Right? That's
Yeah,
funny.
when I was in furniture school for a month,
Is that a school? Is that a thing?
it was a really good class actually. It was
Okay.
Monday through Thursday, and there were 8-hour days. And we had, I think there was like 8 or 9 of us up at New England School of Woodworking, right by our same building as Woodcraft.
Hmm.
In Manchester.
Manchester, yeah.
Okay.
And Bob Van Dyke, awesome guy. Someday, hopefully, he's on here. So he's had students from all over the world, like as far as New Zealand, China, like. And when I was there, he happened to have this girl from Switzerland. So she lived in Switzerland with her husband. Her husband was from Switzerland and she was from France. And one of her in-laws was from, I think, Germany.
Hmm.
So each person would talk in their native language to the kids.
Wow.
So each kid
So fun.
knew like
Yeah.
4 or 5 languages.
That's so rad, man.
It was like,
But that's
It was
probably
insane.
how it's done. Like
right, and that's how it is in your house, where if you speak the native language and the kids just pick up on that stuff.
Even like just adding that as a ammunition for like your resume, bilingual is
Right.
like incredible.
Yeah.
right, you know what I mean? It just
Yeah.
it and they my wife, because she's just top of the game, man. Like she is already like getting our kids like dual citizenship, you know
Oh,
what I
yeah.
mean? Because like the college, to pay for college in Brazil, it's like so much cheaper than it is here, and you can get like the same credentials, and you know what I mean. But so I'm I'm not really excited about the fact, because I don't want to see my girls being so far away from me,
Right.
but I still got a while to go before that becomes a
Yeah, you
real
could
conversation.
create Wicked Sinister south of the border.
Dude, I tell you what, that was actually
Brazilian barbecue.
the gringo barbecue. Like, I'm not even joking. Like, we've had conversations like when we go to retire, because you can buy like really nice oceanfront property there for
Yeah.
a song, and just live like a king. So hopefully make enough money to live okay, in our last years, and I'm gonna bring my smoker down there and pull it up on the beach
Think you
side.
get it through customs?
You know what? We'll cross that bridge when we get there. We'll figure it out. El Gringo, let's go.
It's
know?
funny. We follow a couple of different like van life and schooly life and stuff like that on Instagram and Facebook. And my wife wants to be in some sorts of motorhome or RV for retirement, and there's this one couple that it's actually multiple couples there that all live on buses, and they swear that being on the Chilean waterfront or Mexican waterfront is so much cheaper and easier. You can drive the bus right on the sand, right out, right out to the water, and
And
stay there
everything
for days, and no one
and
bothers you.
everything is like in the smallest of shops, in the little holes in the wall. Everything is so fresh. The bread's made every day.
Except the water.
Well,
Well, that's
the
actually
fruit
a
is so, all
misnomer.
right. So okay, thanks for raining on the parade.
Yeah,
You
that's a misnomer. So when they come up here, they get sick from our water. So it's because of what you're used to. And,
Right, but you still get sick of it if you
well,
if you
we
don't.
put chlorine and
Oh,
fluoride
yeah.
and stuff. I think we should.
So yeah, all
probably
right. So
pour-
you definitely need to pay attention to where you're traveling to and what
Right.
you should and should not do and intake. I do recommend that.
even in the States.
But no, like seriously though, like some of my most favorite meals were like going out to like just like the street, the Feta on Saturdays by my wife's parents' house, and just picking up like every Saturday there's like a farmer's market on their street, they pull in, you know what I mean, and it's just like it just hits different down there. You can buy a whole thing of oranges, which would translate to like $3 for us.
Right, and
You know what I mean? Like
the other thing is like there's so much less regulation for that stuff,
mhm.
and that's like,
It's probably
people
all
do it-
organic and doesn't need labels. And doesn't
right,
need
and
all
people
that.
do more because it's based on quality rather than here everybody's chasing the dollar.
Well, so but even down there, like it's like when you get it from the people on the street, you got to understand that these people are simple farmers. So there's not like pesticides
Right.
or
There's no
anything. It's
money
just
for pesticides.
right. It's just a tropical fruit that whatever you're getting, you know what I mean, that was raised, you know what I mean, it's not bought from that you would find in the supermarket there, because there's a difference. But like at least those simple farmers on the street, you are getting like some of the, and it's cheap, and because we pay top dollar for good ingredients here. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Where there it's like you can buy whole pieces of meat for the, you know what I mean. My mother-in-law, she laughs at the fact that we pay more for pieces of meat that have the bone in it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
No, seriously.
Right,
Like the
yeah.
bone-in stuff, she's like, why do you guys pay more per pound for something that has a bone?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know.
It is.
I don't have a good reason for that.
I feel like it was like that at one point, and we can get back there again. You know what I mean? And I think one of the biggest things is small business, small farming. The sustainable farming, stuff like that.
And
I think
but
that's just
sticking together
the
and
practices we have to keep. And sticking together is a big thing. So,
but I think there's a want for that too.
Right.
You know what I mean?
oh,
I
you can
feel
definitely
it.
tell that with Putnam and Danielson for sure. Like how Putnam is now and been thriving. And,
Yeah.
I mean, the bartenders up there for Fire and Ice, they all like one run out of whiskey, so they go to the next door and they sell them whiskey at cost. You know what I mean? Like they do that for each other over there, and they're
Yeah.
competitors. But it's
Yeah.
if you generate enough quality stuff, more and more people will keep coming. And
Right.
we're about to have a second, or to me, it's another third. It's a third coffee shop because we have Moon Magic
Moon Magic.
Cafe and we have Chubby Dog, and we're about to get two dogs.
dog.
And I don't see any issue with that. I feel like each one can have their own vibe, their own twist on it.
Yep.
And if they all put out good products, people are
I can already see the difference in between each of the shops.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? From what, is it Cheyenne?
Yeah, Moon Magic.
Yeah,
by Shay.
Cheyenne. So what she's doing over there, and because I used to walk, from my lot all the way across the street, through the, the brickyard there, and
Yeah.
to get my coffee in the morning. But now that Adams opened up, and now again with
You have choices.
so
Right.
it's for me, it's like, okay, like, it's not about choosing allegiance or any way. Like, it's about like
You
one
can
day I'm gonna
support
go
all.
here,
Yeah.
one day I can go here.
Oh, yeah.
Especially if you like the product and the people,
Yeah.
then you should definitely 100% support them and stop giving
Right.
it to these major chain people that don't care about you.
No. Yeah. I definitely agree with that. I will go out of my way to go over by Shay's or Chubby Dog. And I mean, we've already had two dogs and Chubby Dog on here. Shay is coming June 3rd, I
Sure.
believe.
Yeah.
For all, and dude, I wish all of you, you know, the best of success. I really do.
I,
Just like,
and I think
I,
there's just such a cool vibe going
Right.
on
Yeah.
that I feel so like how weird it is that life would take me to be into this spot where all this stuff's happening at the same time. Like, I have no idea what's going to happen, but it feels pretty awesome
yeah.
because it's we're all pulling in the same direction. So it doesn't feel like there's like rumors and stuff about this and that who might come here and there, you know what I mean? I don't want to get into all that because all that's like under wraps, but
Right,
like I my wife will be like, she goes, "Oh no." And I said, "No." I said, "Really? That's a good thing." You know what I mean? Like I said, cuz it's just bringing more people to the area. You know what I mean? So yeah, maybe they're not going to come with for me today, but they're going to try again maybe next week or the week afterwards
Yeah.
because it smelled good when they walked by us to go somewhere else.
Right.
And I said, just you got to be patient.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. No, I definitely agree that, and we have the running joke of Kyle and I, cotton sharpening cotton, because we're
Still
just,
the sharpest we can get.
yeah, instead of iron sharpening iron. But that's what'll happen down in Main Street is the iron will sharpen iron too, to
yeah.
a degree, and it'll just all be really good quality stuff. Which, I mean, you've seen other towns go through that where, you know, you just keep getting
there's
better.
there's
you
more
push that
there's
needle every
more
day.
strength and community than trying to go
Oh, yeah.
against the grain doing it by you know what
Right.
I'm saying,
Yeah.
like, so what I didn't know much when I first started this thing, but I knew right away that, okay, I'm like, I don't have any money, I don't have much to offer, but like I'm gonna try to find a way to like fit in and be a part of something, you know what I mean, like I that was important to me.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And I mean, I don't know, a week or two ago, I grabbed something to eat at your place and went right over to Adam's and grabbed something to drink and
Yeah.
ate there at Adam's counter. So,
Well, yeah, and he's not even gonna have food. So
Yeah.
he's supporting all the local eaters.
yeah.
So,
it's like New
the
York
idea
Pizza
is
Pizzazz,
that
all
because he's currently trying to obtain his liquor permit,
Right.
and in order to have your liquor permit you have to serve food.
Right.
So he kind of found, like, I don't want to even call it a loophole, but like if you read how it's worded, it's like you have to provide food in your establishment. So like, so what he's going to do is be able to link over to me somehow, or have the menu, my
Yeah.
menu
Yeah.
over there, and he'll be able to order on his system, and we'll have somebody run across the street to deliver the
Right.
food. He's going to do that with like Pizza Pizzazz and
Yeah, he said he was gonna have runners.
yeah,
run and
so-
get food, but also Murray's does it. So, and I definitely did New York pizza and brought it over to Murphy's and played pool and drank and whatnot. So it's still called Murphy's, right?
when you mean Maury's?
Maury's.
Maury's?
I'm sorry, Maury's.
Well,
Yeah.
they had a fire there was like a sprinkler issue situation where everything got. It's been closed for quite some time.
Oh, wow.
I don't know. Because I talked to the gentleman quite a bit who owns the comic book store, and he's kind of aware of all that going on in there. So
Are there
it's-
multiple businesses shut down? over
yeah,
there?
well, he's fine. He's still going, but like, whatever is underneath there is like Maury's pub there that's
Maury's Pub.
closed. And
I know the music shop was has been closed.
It's closed forever, man.
Yeah.
It looks like a snapshot in like in
Yeah,
time.
like they
like,
just
you know what I
walked
mean?
away. Yeah.
Like it just everything that they left there is still that, you know what I mean, the same spot, you know. And yeah, man, you know how many times I walked in there as a kid,
Oh, really?
you know, yeah, in Oliver's music, you know what I mean, and that's, you know, probably when I first, you know, started thinking about playing music, probably because walking in that store and they had the, you know, some guitars on the wall and all the records in the aisle, and
Nice.
you know, there was so many, even then, and and when I was a kid coming into town, there was so many cool businesses like Dow's, and I remember going to Gil Shoe Barn
I remember that.
and you know, Surplus back then, and
Yeah.
Dow's, and what's the oh my god, my head, just all the businesses that were down there,
Yeah.
you know what I mean. And now I look at it, it's completely different. I mean, you know,
It's
but you know,
different.
Heart and Home is still there.
Right.
And,
Yeah.
It's coming
well,
back though.
Yeah.
Surplus is celebrated 70 years or 75 years. Something
Yeah,
like
man.
that. Warren, he's still
Yeah,
kicking,
no, we
so.
and he's such a great guy, man.
Yeah,
Like
so
he's been so nice since I've been there. Like he's like so easygoing. Like I think sometimes like I come across as like too like ah, you know, for him he's like, yeah, no, everything's fine, and I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm fine. I'm just talking. Like, but like he's like so laid back. Like
Yeah.
so like he like even like I might come across as a little bit like too much.
Honestly, all the times I've visited with you, I'm like, this guy's super laid back.
Yeah,
That's the
but,
way
like-
I feel of you.
But oh well, you know, Warren and I are neighbors, so like, you
Yeah.
know, we've had a couple things, nothing major, just stupid little things that have come across. Like, I don't even know if I want to share this story, but there was one time last year during the summertime, he decided to help and myself and come weed whack during business hours and kick rocks everywhere during
Oh,
like
so he was
like we're
trying.
doing, yeah, like he was trying to, like, you know, like weed
Ah,
whack, and I'm
yeah.
like, and like there's like, it's like rocks are just I'm like, yo, I'm like, dude, like, what are you doing? Like, he's like, oh, what? I'm like, do you not realize that you're
Yeah.
like there's people eating and you're kicking rocks everywhere with the weed whacker?
Yeah. It's,
But yeah,
it
no,
happens. I mean, it's
all
just
good.
like absent. I could totally see me. doing that. Definitely see Kyle doing that.
I've done that actually in my own house.
You're having a barbecue and you just.
No, there was nobody, but there were a glass door was the victim.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That's
But-
cool, man.
Yeah, it happens. Just so everybody knows, Paul is drinking Moose IPA from Black Pond Brews.
Yes, sir.
Another was a downtown Danielson. Now they're Dayville, Connecticut. Get out there to see that brewery too.
Now we got the Burrows there.
Yeah.
Burroughs. So I got to try that one. I haven't been there yet.
Yeah, man. We get. It's funny because like there's so many places that like I wish I could have more time to walk up and down the street and visit
Yeah.
people and
Yeah.
even just welcome people to the neighborhood. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, but like it's hard for me to make any meetings like, you know, like during the KBA or stuff like that. I really do wish I could make more of these things, but like I can't. You know what I mean?
It's the way business is. I mean,
It's-
I was at a lot of KBA and PBA meetings until COVID hit.
Mm.
The school, you know, I was homeschooling my kids, and then, you know, even when we went back to school, they had changed the schedule, the bus schedule and stuff, so I couldn't get out early enough
Yeah.
to get all that stuff. It's just life, man. It happens, and you know,
Absolutely.
the thing is like I feel like whether you resist it or not, somewhere along the line, everybody pays their dues. Everybody puts their time in.
Mhm.
And honestly, to me, I love, you know, putting the time in willingly and volunteering before I'm voluntold, that kind of thing, or
Right.
volunteering before the whole thing shuts down and falls apart, you know, and that kind of stuff. And
Which is so remarkable, like folks like yourself that find the time and like it's so like a good friend of mine, Shane. Like
yeah,
he
Shane,
you know,
tips
you know,
for tools,
tips for
man.
tools
He
and doing all those things, and which, by the way, we are going to at the end of summer, right at the beginning of fall. We're going to be having a special event with tips for tools
at Wicked Sinister.
at Wicked Sinister.
Oh,
Yeah, so we're going to be doing quick little sidebar. I have two thundercloud plum trees in my on my yard that my wife purchased for me when we actually finished the landscaping at our house. And once a year, that these beautiful trees, they'll produce these little purple plum fruits.
Hmm.
You know, at the end of summer. And some of them are sweet, some of them are sour. It can differ from tree to tree, climate, everything you know can affect it. So I have no idea what these things are going to taste like at all.
Oh.
I have no idea.
But we're putting
and
them in
from
the
year to year,
barbecue.
it can change from year to year too.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
like the uniqueness of it is very very cool to me. So we're doing this entire thing for charity for all the proceeds, and I hope we sell as many of the ribs that day as we possibly can. And because I was talking with Shane, you know, and right now he's currently involved with Ellis Tech here in town.
Yeah.
But he said to me that you know he wants to expand it to other technical schools and help out multiple schools of, you know, and these kids that, you know what I mean, because you know, coming from a single parent home with my mom, you know, working her tail off in Anchor Glass for 31 years, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
It was hard for her to purchase the tools necessary for me to get started in the electrical trade, which has led me to where I am.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and I know a lot of kids that go to tech school, probably not all the time, but like there are situations that these kids, you know, haven't had the same upbringing as everybody else, so
Right.
they don't have the same shot. So a lot of times these kids probably drop out because there's no way for them to. But
Yeah.
if there's a chance, like, hey, listen, if you want this and you can, you know, articulate yourself to say, like, listen, this is why I'm here.
Mm-hmm.
We got you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And now you have a step.
Right. That's the thing I've always said. Like, you know, there's always this people out there to be like, oh, they just got to pull their bootstraps up and dig in. And I'm like, they don't, nobody has the same starting point.
No.
No.
So it's very difficult for me to believe in that idea. Like, oh, they just got to bring up the willpower and, you know, pull up the
Yeah, it
bootstraps.
doesn't work
No,
like
it's
that now.
not like that. And, you know, to help give people, you know, more of a starting point. And there's another saying in carpentry, like, oh, a bad carpenter always blames the tools. But like, if you can't even get the starter tools, you know, to
You
even
do blame
learn
your
how to do
tools
it.
a lot.
What's that?
I said you do blame your tools a lot.
I do. Well, I'm not a carpenter anymore.
Perfectly fine.
I'm an amateur. I can blame them all I want. But yeah, just like if you start off with, you know, the cheapest tool, and we know tools have a huge range
Mm-hmm.
of quality and stuff, and to, you know, to start off with either bad tools or no tools is like, you know, what do you expect? You expect them to contribute? You know,
And when we were younger, like if you had to get like there was a list, you know what I mean?
Right,
So you had to
yeah.
get, and these were all professional tools,
Right,
which are
yeah.
very costly.
yeah.
So, and if you couldn't afford those, I remember like, you know, the kids that would show with Craftsman instead of Klein, you know, and
Yeah.
there was always kind of like a negative connotation that was like
Right.
associated
Same with your clothes.
that.
If you couldn't buy the brand name, then
Champion,
Yeah.
Starter, all back in the day. I get it. Hey, listen, I suffered the reality of
I
it.
actually, so when I started to make my own money, I was realizing all along that, you know, having brand names doesn't really do it for me because I remember going to like the Plainfield pool, and my buddy and I, we both took our shirts off, went in the pool, swam. I think we were at a birthday party. We went back. His Nike T-shirt was gone. Mine was still there. My no-name brand was still there, and I was like,
Yeah.
I get it now. Like I mean, to me, you know, paying $20 extra for that shirt wouldn't have been worth it at all to have it stolen versus not having it stolen. So
Right. No, and
It's-
if you can, but if you,
but
at
I
an early
get the
age,
whole,
if you can figure that out at a very early age and like actually like grasp that,
and
you're
be
way
able-
ahead of the game because
but also have to have the security to own that. You know what I mean? That was one thing.
well, that takes a
It's
while.
like seventh, eighth grade to be able to be like, I was kind of laughing. I was like, see, this is why I don't wear brand names.
Because
It was really
that's when
'cause we
you're
couldn't afford them, and that's
yeah,
fine,
no,
you
but
know,
that's when you're in the middle of trying to define where you are in the pecking order, you know, and
or who
and
you are.
yeah,
Yeah.
you know what I mean. You're literally figuring yourself out as you go, like
Right.
those ages, and
Yeah,
yeah, and I know I did
yeah.
for sure
It's, you know, it's
how everything worked,
yeah, and it
the
was
pecking
I
order.
mean, it was still years before you really own who you are, and you know, and it becomes that, you know, you know, back when I knew everything, you know what I mean, and then you have that whole other transformation, like when you hit the upper 20s, and you're like, God, I was such an idiot.
Yeah.
but I stood my ground.
Yeah, no, and I look at the situation and the people that I remember from years ago and where they are now, and the people that I most likely the people that I don't know gravitate towards the most is people that were odd like myself,
Gotcha.
and you know what I mean,
Yeah.
and because I see them doing all these incredible things now on a low key basis, and like how awesome, like is like good for you.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
we had a quiet kid that had I don't know his IQ, but it was definitely higher than ours. You know what I mean? He was in
Mhm.
our shop. He was so quiet, and he always used to just once in a while just come up for a zinger and you know let everybody laugh. But
Mhm.
then we had to do this project where we had to make a commercial, and him and his buddy from another shop got on their commercial and they riffed out this I don't know, like 9-chord song. Just like the way they were moving their arms on their guitars or their fingers on the guitar. I was just like, this isn't fair. It is just like one of those things. They were both kind of odd ducks, you know, really quiet kids, but super, super talented.
And
it was
the best part about it, and because you don't realize it when you're a kid, because you spend your entire time trying to fit in with everybody else, that you don't realize that if you just embrace your uniqueness,
right.
you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I felt like a square peg in a round hole my entire life, and I didn't realize that. And I spent so much time trying to fight against that.
Yeah.
And by the time I really embraced it, you know what I mean? Like, wow, like it's amazing to have a different, to be different from other people, and it's okay, and
Right.
you should accept that and embrace that, and show the world what, like, I really want people to feel comfortable in their own skin, and I can't, and that's why, you know, barbecue is so perfect for me, because, you know, the whole idea is that, you know, with barbecue, everybody's welcome at the table.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Period. No matter what color, what you're from, like, everybody's welcome at the table. And if you treat, you know, us with respect, we're going to treat you with respect, and we're going to do the best that we can for you. And that's important to us. I tell everybody the same thing. Like, you know, I know things aren't always going to be perfect, and I'm not going to always be perfect, but let's do the best we can
Yeah.
every single day, and try to make other people's, you know what I mean, like,
Yeah.
it affects their day, like we
Right, yeah,
affect
yeah.
their day, like we
Right.
can sit there and have an impact on their day just by sitting there like, hey, how's it going, how's everything, you know what I mean, just talking to people, and like bringing, like, interacting with folks, and coming from a person like myself who's very antisocial. The people who are closest to me are probably laughing their heads off right now, because I've you know, what's wrong with him? You know what I mean? That was, people looked at me because I never talked. I just never felt very comfortable,
Yeah.
you know, but it's taken me a long time to be able to sit here and do this.
Yeah, now you're on the community workbench in front of 2 followers. How many?
There's 4.
There's 4.
There was 4?
no,
Man, I try telling people, man.
They come
It's
and
always-
go.
It's always
Yeah.
ebbs
Come
and
and go, yeah.
flows, but yeah.
But the reality, it doesn't matter how many there are. As if people see it, it gets in their mind, and then
I'm not,
try it.
because people got their own lives to do, and but like, okay, so they're not watching live, but like, when we put it out there afterwards, who sees it afterwards,
That's
it's-
when the numbers always tick up a little bit.
right, you know what I mean? It's all about throwing that pebble in the pond and letting the ripple effect
Yeah,
take
it's
a
just trying to
place,
get
you know what I
local
mean?
people to think about lunch. Or
You know what I mean?
how late are you open?
So Wednesday, Thursdays, and Sundays we're open 11:15 to 4,
Mhm.
and Friday and Saturday is 11:15 to 7.
Okay.
In a few short weeks here, stay tuned. We'll probably start getting ready to expand the hours as the weather's getting nicer now. So, and it stays lighter now, so there's no reason to close at 4 o'clock on some days, because it's not getting dark and it's not freezing and
Mhm.
it's not miserable.
Yeah, we can do
So,
Friday night block parties with Wicked Sin.
yeah, man,
all
no,
night
like
long.
I'm telling you, it's when we finally, open up the window in the container and get rid of Bluey and put a stage there. We're gonna have like some local, some acoustic acts or different. Any kind of performers, I've become friends with. The beauty about the internet is that across the United States, you become friends with people that you would never meet
right,
before.
yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I've been able to meet some pretty incredible people so far through barbecue and
Yeah.
and do some cool events, private events for people too. So.
Yeah, the common interest thing brings a lot of people together. I've definitely
Mm.
met people from all over the globe through real estate
Yeah.
and before that through carpentry. It's funny, how and even with carpentry, I never even had social media. But
Mm.
I only started my social media when I started real estate. So
Yeah. Yeah. No.
it was kind of cool to meet so many different people at different times throughout both careers.
Right. No. I used to have like I used to be on I mean, when I was an electrician, obviously I had like a Facebook account, but it would actually make me more stressed out to be on there because I would see like all these posts and people just being like, negative and all these horrible news that's going and stuff that's going on in the world, and it would impact me.
Yeah.
So it would actually have a negative. It would affect my overall attitude. So I went on like a 3-year hiatus where I didn't.
What you feed your brain can be just as detrimental as
Yeah.
eating at McDonald's every day.
Yeah. No.
It's
Like.
McDonald's, but you don't make healthy food. So it's just like if you eat that every day. Same with social media. If you consume negative
No. That's the thing.
every day, it's
Yeah.
it's not healthy.
No,
It's
you gotta
super
you gotta
unhealthy.
you gotta sit there and start thinking about like, hey, things have got to become more positive and do things different than what I've been doing before because uh, you know I can't get to everybody, but hopefully it'll affect some people, and I know it works because, man, I tell you what, I have so many like faithful like people that come like every week or
Yeah,
multiple
you
times
gain
a
your
week, and it's
regulars.
crazy like like people how the amount of love that we're getting, and God knows we're not perfect. Like I screw up orders all the time. Like
Easy now.
no, it's not on purpose. Like it's like like not myself, but like how things happen. Like we might forget something in the bag. And I try to tell people like, listen, if we make a mistake, please just reach out to me. We'll make it right. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
don't sit there and write a bad review for a mistake.
Yeah,
you know what I
that's-
mean?
A
Yeah,
lot of
that's
people
tough.
don't like to do the face-to-face thing anymore, and that's
I don't
one-
get it.
Well, that's
Like,
that's one of the downfalls of social media and texting and emailing. It's just
Mm.
you don't have that face to face, and a lot of kids are. It's like we talked about the language thing. If you grow up with 3 or 4 languages spoken in your house,
Mm.
your try and quadruple language, but if you grow up only texting your friends, I mean, I tell my kids, I'm like, just call them. Just call them. If you don't know what they mean, just call them.
Yeah.
And
Have a conversation.
Yeah.
yeah, or even, I mean, some of these younger kids won't even go up and say, hey, to the teacher, like, oh, I didn't understand that. Can we talk about that? Oh, that would be so embarrassing to go up to the teacher and ask her for extra help or whatever. I'm just like, that was a way of life for me.
Right? Like
We know.
I needed as much help as I could get.
Yeah,
Believe me.
I just like,
I was such a nerd when I was a kid, man. I would I would ask the teacher at the beginning of the year, I'm like, can I sit in the front row, like next to the board? Because I was so like hungry to learn and what, yeah, like I said, I square peg round hole, you know what I mean? What kid wants to sit in the front row as a kid? You know what I mean?
Right.
You want to be in the back screwing around, but that was me.
I would sit in the back or the middle or whatever with my friends until
You got separated.
well, my grades would slip, and you know, either my mom or my dad or my teacher would just decide, oh, it's time to put them up front, and you would see my grade just turn right around.
Mhm.
There we go. It would just, you would immediately see, oh yeah.
Well, that's what it was.
He needed to be up front.
You know, and needed to be separated
Yeah.
from.
I don't know if you guys realize this, but I'm kind of a social guy.
Never
I was in the
thought
back.
that.
So if I was in the back with friends or whatever, it was like, there's a teacher here? Oh.
It's just like solitary confinement when you went to the front, huh?
Well, no, I'd socialize with
You would talk.
That's why he started getting better grades. He started smoothing it over up front. It wasn't because Andrew's right.
Both would happen.
I wasn't so fortunate.
Yeah, I was lucky. I had very diligent parents with when it slipped, or they just held that standard where you don't go below a B. You know,
Mhm.
it's like their thing. So
Yeah.
because I didn't start out with anything but A's and B's, like
You were capable.
Yeah, so they knew you're capable. You know.
Yeah, I get it, man. That's how I was. I was an A and B student up until my junior year in school, when I just said I don't want to do this anymore.
Got senioritis early, huh?
Yeah, it started early for me. I was done.
Yeah.
So it was a struggle to get through those last year and a half of tech.
Yeah, that's definitely something that's got to get worked on, especially with tech schools, because there's a lot of freedom in tech schools, which I loved because it taught you how to
Mhm.
have self-control with the freedom. You know, the education's there if you want it. If you didn't want it, I have plenty of friends that tell me now, like, "Oh, I wish I had paid attention.
Mhm.
I wish I had put more effort into it." And
Yeah.
I did get a certain amount of senioritis for sure, but I had enough to hold.
Dude, it's a miracle that I'm just so thankful that our the person who took attendance kept score of the attendance there at Alice Tech. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh, so you're talking about me schmoozing people over?
no, she was just such a nice teacher, and she understood, and she understood that we were all good kids, and you know what I mean. And because we really shouldn't have passed. You know, we should have at least went to summer school to make up the time that we missed. But
Wow. Well,
but
that
those are
happens.
different days. Those
Yeah.
are different days.
Yeah, they definitely. The only senior release we had was on Club Day, which was once a month. I don't know if you ever remember Club Day. It was such a weird thing because you could never get into like a.
They would
rhythm.
never release me. You know what I
They
mean?
would be like,
You got to think of it like an asylum. You know what I'm saying? Like, they only release the good inmates.
Right.
I never got released early.
That's it. Yeah, so like our senior year, instead of they finally let, because like there used to be like exams and stuff like that where seniors would be able to leave early, or the state testing days, or the seniors would be able to leave early, and then they stopped all that, and then we were able to convince our administration that on Club Day, which is only one day a month, which would be like if there was a running club, there was slot car racing clubs, there was just like. I forget what it was. It was like 2 hours of the end of the day once a month. And to me, it wasn't even like, if you were into that, like it really wasn't enough to really get into something.
Yeah.
It was just like, and so like we convinced them to let us have, if you were over a certain grade point average, you could have senior release.
Right.
And then that's when we would bug out. But that was like it. That was the only like we couldn't leave for study hall. We couldn't leave. I mean, we were always there. And, yeah, I loved it though. So.
We had such a cool shop teacher in
Yeah.
electrical.
Mr.
that-
Mullen,
not Mr. Moulin,
He
but
wasn't there yet.
The junior and senior teacher. I can't think of his name now. I'm drawing a blank. That's so
Yeah.
funny. But anyway, he was kind of like a person that had a lot of issues earlier on in his life, and then found God, and so he was very straight edge in that manner, and he was cool. Like he would like take us out on work release, work, you know what I mean, on the bus. You know what I mean? Yeah, so we'd all hop on the blue bus and we'd go to the ball field and play softball all day.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And we would like train for the field day that
Well,
was
I'm glad you
coming up.
couldn't come up with his name.
We dominated that year, by the way. I want to say electrical dominated that year. We were a machine.
That's funny.
So,
I mean,
Yes.
it was probably safe to assume that a lot of the wannabe electricians
Mattel.
were not athletic.
Mr. Mattel.
Mr.
really?
Mattel.
Okay. I do remember him.
I hope he's not still there.
No, he's got to be.
no, he's well beyond retired
Oh.
now.
Yeah.
I don't know.
What
But,
is
like,
beyond
we-
retired?
Huh?
I said, what is well beyond retired?
Like no. Well, I mean, don't take it too literal now. Like I don't know anything. Like I'm
Like
just.
his beyond the retirement age.
Yeah, no, like I'm just saying he retired a
65.
long time ago.
Yeah,
Like it's
yeah.
been a while.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
But field day.
Oops.
What happened? Oh,
Hang on.
technical difficulties. Please stand by.
We got to do the checklist of turning the furnace on or the boiler off.
I love it.
Turning the boiler off. But
Snafu.
field day between shops it was very competitive at the
It
end of
was.
And it was funny because it was like there was kids that weren't athletes, didn't play sports. There was a lot at Ellis. There was like a lot of kids that just didn't play a sport or whatever, and
No kidding.
it wasn't their thing.
Was
And
it
it was
all sporting?
all of a
game?
sudden, all the shop teachers expected every kid to be a pro athlete. And we're like, "What are you doing? Come on, dig deep."
Here comes the tug of war.
Yes, tug of war was a big one.
We're like, when's lunch? Are we having hot dogs, hamburgers? How many can we have? As many as we want.
There was a few different things that were athletic or whatever. Like a few, they had like lip singing contests. They had certain instrument ones that were.
I don't
they
remember
had-
any of that.
They, had, I don't know. They had some afterwards.
I didn't. Well, you got to keep in mind, I
You're
didn't
like
really
10
pay
years
attention.
ahead of me.
I didn't really pay attention either. Like,
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I was just like, if we weren't playing softball, like I was probably like sneaking off into the woods. You know what I mean? Like yeah, that's what we did.
Yeah.
There was no policing back then. Like
Right.
people would just be like, go.
But even with us, it was funny. On the other side of that, there were kids that wouldn't play a sport, but then on field day, they were just amazing athletes. Too.
Right.
It was that.
The
Yeah.
competitive nature came out when
Yeah.
no.
Wild. I'm like, why didn't you play soccer? You just
Mm-hmm.
schooled me.
Yeah.
It's like-
We had so much fun on field day. I think that was
Yeah.
probably one of my most favorite moments. Like every year.
Right.
You know, I think it's something I would look forward to.
Yeah, that was a day. Did we go in early or did we go in at regular time? And then you just kind of like the morning's super relaxed. They have like donuts and stuff like that and coffee and whatnot.
But there's like a buzz. There's like
Yeah, it's like a
vibe.
total
You know what I
vibe.
mean?
Some shops would get different T-shirts, so you all look united with numbers on them and stuff
Yeah.
like that. It was cool.
Yeah, man.
It was a lot of fun.
But see, like all those moments, like coming back to Wicked Sinister, like in the long run, like everything that I went through growing up led me to where I am now.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's what I think I love about it most. It's a culmination of everything that I've been through, all the mental, all the trauma, all the I tell people, my therapist or whatever, like it feels like I've been shaped by 1,000 razor sharp paper cuts. You know what I'm saying? Like it's
Yeah.
none of them are hard enough to kill you, but
Yeah.
like they still shape you nonetheless.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the most disappointing part about it is that you realize is that I allowed it to happen to me
Yeah.
because how I approached thinking that how I thought making other people happy would make me happy. And it led to these traumatic events that would happen.
What's interesting is you still do make other people very happy, but in a different way.
It's on my terms
Yeah.
now.
Right,
You know what I
right.
mean?
Right, it's like
I
rewarding,
found,
right?
you know what I mean? I found that connection that I've been looking for, that I've been trying to do, but I've been doing it wrong. This time it's on my terms. So uh, it's as simple as this. If I feel like you're on my side and you're pulling in the same direction, we're good. The moment I feel like someone stands in front of me, the difference now is that I will run over you because I'm not going to let anybody stop me or deter me from what I am going to do this time.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's the difference where I would let people's opinions change, might influence me my entire life.
Yeah.
The first time I went against that is when I found my wife, and the second time is Wicked Sinister.
That's awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, no, it's going against the grain.
Yeah.
When you look everybody in the eye and say, "F you," or you're with me, you know what I mean, and mean it.
Yeah.
You know.
The other aspect that you get from that, like, how it you've said it a couple of times where all these moments combined led you to where you are today. Looking back on that, now moving forward, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. So you can look at life in that way.
I feel like I'm literally fighting for my life right now. I feel like I manifest everything that I do.
Yeah.
I have to tell myself repeatedly, this is what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
And that's what's happening. And that's the cool part is that I sat there and I said, I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
And it's happening.
Well,
Yeah.
then people come back.
And
right?
you know what I
They
mean?
just
And
keep
you get the
coming back.
response and you get that energy, that flow. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's when you feel the energy. Like when we're doing the fairs, like people would be like, "Oh, somebody on the other side would tell me," and you know what I mean? You feel this vibe.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's electric.
Yeah.
And I think that's the part that I am like, that's when you know you found it.
Yeah.
Because I felt that with my wife when I found her. You find that electricity, and that's when you know when you finally figured it out.
You were an electrician at the time? Like
Yeah, no, yeah.
The good electrician.
Maybe that's the thing. Maybe I just got shut. But I shared a story with you guys earlier about before we went on about my life flashing before my eyes.
Yeah.
Right.
And in that moment of time, you realize that you can't. It's not worth your life, risking your life to make other people happy at the cost of your own.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
it took a long time
Yeah.
to that make sense.
Yeah. It's pretty wild ride life is.
Dude, it's crazy. It's whimsical. It really
Yeah.
is. But I think if you allow yourself to let go
Yeah.
and get caught in the breeze and to see where the wind takes you, that's kind of what I'm doing. And because I've always tried to control everything. I've always tried to be like, you know what I mean? That's why I'd get so upset because it didn't come out like my expectations were. And now I've kind of let go of all of that and just come what may.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's-
especially for you, for
that's-
like creativity for the dishes and the meat you put out with the seasoning.
Let go of
Yeah.
all of it.
Just-
and
If it
just
sells, it sells. If it doesn't, all right.
that's how
back
we
to the-
learn. But that's
yeah.
how you will learn. You know what I
Exactly.
mean? And people are really starting to with the specials. People are really kind of like started getting I noticed that the days I don't do specials, it's slower than the days that I do specials. You know what I mean?
So your followers want to try stuff.
They want to try the what's coming next. You know what I mean? Like when I did the apple pie burnt ends.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? People responded. When I do the sweet chicky lollipops, people come in, they respond.
Yeah.
So and then to have all the other stuff that's just constant all the time.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, and like I was saying before, it's just like that creativity. Are you writing your recipes down? Things that you
No.
try.
No, it's all my wife probably now is going to be like, oh my god, I can't believe he's going to say this. I don't. Everything is inside my head.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just.
We got to get you a voice recorder or something.
Well, the best that I could do really is I go to the app on my Apple phone, the notes, and like I'll jot like. It's almost like my napkin at the diner where I would used to take a pen and write notes on the or lyrics
Right,
when I was a band on the napkin.
Mm.
That's my napkin now is the notes on my app. But so it's all just chicken scratch. Like nobody would be able to decipher it. It's
My wife makes incredible food, and she'll make something. I'm like, oh, we can have that again. Well, good luck, because she doesn't write anything down. So.
it's by feel. It's completely by feel. They'd be like, well, how much salt do you put in there? I'm like, I have no idea. I don't know how much of anything I do.
Yeah.
There are times I don't remember exactly what I put in there, to be honest with you. A lot of times things I'm literally doing it on the fly.
Yeah.
And I have no idea how it's going to come out. I don't even taste it. After it's done, I don't taste it. And people just sit there and go, oh my God, that was the most incredible thing. And I'm like, okay, cool. And I'll never eat it.
You don't eat your own food?
Very rarely.
Really?
Very rarely. I never taste it.
You don't bring it home for dinner?
My wife will ask for certain things if I have ribs or the chicken lollipops or something like that. Like things that she's like, that she's grown to love. But like,
So you go home to like hamburger helper?
yeah, I go home. I don't. That's what's cool is that just by just doing it, I know what it's going to be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I can't explain it. I have no idea how it works. Like I said, I'm not a cook. I'm not a chef. I understand how this came to be. But what I do know is that when I'm doing it, it's like this energy.
Yeah.
And I love doing it. It's my favorite part of my day is, firing up the smoker on a Tuesday night and it's just me, some music, and my thoughts,
Right.
And about where I am and where I'm going, and just constantly working on stuff for the better, and not loathing and focusing on the negative, but just changing the thought process, and it's showing.
So is Tuesday night usually like a start of an overnight cook?
Yeah, no, that's like kind of like I usually end up doing like a couple overnight cooks during the week, especially lately because we've been running out of food a lot on especially on Saturdays. Like I try to figure enough what I'm gonna need for the long cooks, I should say, like the brisket, the pulled pork, or pork, stuff that takes like a long time. To cook properly, so I try to do it in one night because it takes a lot of energy, because not only you're cooking all night, you're working all day, and then by the time you get home, it takes several days to recoup the amount of energy. But it's been getting so busy lately, I've been having to cook multiple times. Like when we're at the fair, like I pretty much I cook every night.
Wow.
So I could do like 4 or 5 days in a row.
The Brooklyn Fair?
Yeah, Brooklyn Fair, Woodstock Fair. I
Fire and Ice, were you there? Like
I was there. Yeah, we? So the funny thing about Fire and Ice is that I brought the exact same amount that I would for one of the fairs for one day, and we sold out in 2.5 hours.
Oh my gosh.
You know what I mean?
I was one of the first.
Yeah, man. Thank you, by the way, for that. That was a very interesting day that we had there.
Was that your first Fire and Ice?
That was my first Fire and Ice. Yeah, I know. It's funny because like, I know everybody here in town, and I did like a kind of like a last minute like save the day kind of thing for the town of Putnam there when they had their zombie thing.
Okay.
Their zombie show in the park.
Yes.
So but they had a barbecue person and their truck broke down, and I literally the day before filled in, you know what I mean? And I had an event earlier in that day. I was at the Walmart car show.
Oh yeah.
There was a car show at Walmart that day, and we were there till 4, packed up, went up to Putnam and sold barbecue up there that night. You know what I mean, to fill in. and you know, I mean, they were so thankful, and so that's how we kind of got like our foot in the door for the fire and ice thing.
Nice. Yeah,
So-
I mean, anyone that tries your food is going to want you at more events. That's just the way. The name of the game is really what can you balance, you know, because
Yeah, no, and I've had some conversations in the most weirdest aspects. Like, I've had like conversations about like, you know, doing Frito-Lay's Employee Appreciation Day, where there's like 1,000 people on 3
Yeah.
different shifts,
Oh my god.
which is, and you sit there and you go, can I do this? Like, how do I, like, what are the logistics of this? How do I pull this off with the amount of resources that I have available to me at the moment? So, but yeah, I'm up for anything. I don't care.
nice. That's
Okay.
awesome.
That's great.
man.
So today's Monday. We got you here on your day off. So.
Yeah, man.
Sorry. For
There's no days off. You know that, right? I know enough that after I leave here, I got more stuff to do, man. It never ends.
Is there a special this week?
Oh my gosh, yeah. So again, so I need to get in contact with my good friend across the street, Adam,
Oh yeah.
who owns Chubby Dog.
Chubby Dog. Yeah.
And we're gonna be doing a special brisket this week, in limited amount, obviously. But we're gonna do a what I would normally do for my brisket rub, but we're also gonna add his espresso grind into the mix, into the rub, and we're gonna be releasing a brisket with that coffee, I think. So I'm really
It's exciting.
Yeah, that's exciting.
it's gonna be
That's
really
gonna be
good.
That's gonna be cool. And what day do you think you're coming out with that?
That's gonna be on. I'm hoping if I can get there tomorrow and get in contact with Adam, it'll be ready for Wednesday.
Nice.
So
Nice.
that was the plan. I just, you know, I ended up cooking steak today.
Yep. When you walked in, you filled the room with this amazing aroma.
It's
just like-
weird, and
You
you know,
should
I
make
changed my
cologne,
shirt.
too.
I changed my shirt before I came here too, but I
You
guess
should
it
make
was still.
cologne.
Yeah, man.
Well, it's been awesome chatting with you.
Yeah, thank you so much, man.
You're always welcome here on the community workbench.
Really, and I hope
and-
I hope we were able to share some good stories here tonight, and I hope everybody is you know, support local, man.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yep.
That's it. Support
That's why
local.
we're here. That's what we're doing. So,
Yeah.
yep. Hopefully, we'll have the whole D-Burg. A lot of them. All the D-Burgers can come on the community workbench.
I'm telling you, man. There's a
business
cool little
owners.
vibe
Yeah.
going on downtown.
Actually, when we had Rena Mason on, she mentioned that same vibe, and so did the
I can't wait to see because I feel like there's going to be a reincarnation somehow with
well,
with-
Black Bond Brewery even said we're moving off Main Street. That was a tough decision for them because
Yeah.
of the same vibe. So yeah, there's definitely some good synergy going on down there, and just encourage everybody to, when you can, go down there and check it out.
Yeah, man. Just
Walk down there, have a coffee.
you know, instead of
have a
driving,
biscuit.
I think, you know, we got so used to for so many years just driving through Main Street, Danielson, just driving through.
Yeah.
Like, pull your car off into one of the many parking spots around, and just get out of your car and, you know, spend an afternoon and visit some shops.
Yeah, for multiple years now, I try to, at least in like October, November, try to do some Christmas shopping with the kids, and I just park the truck and walk down and see what we see.
Yeah, man.
And, you know,
But,
every
like,
year that gets better. You know what I mean? It gets better
Yeah.
and better. There's more to pick from. There's more shops to visit. So
But that's such a key, like, that kind of support, that kind of awareness goes such a long way for not just the individual shop owner, but for the community.
Yeah.
That's I never saw that before, but now being where I am, I'm like, wow, it was right there the whole time.
yeah.
So
All right, everybody. Thanks for watching. The Community Workbench family is kicking off the spring season by promoting the Be the One campaign. It was started by the American Legion in efforts to stop veteran suicide. For more details, visit BeTheOne.org. My daughter has also asked me to plug Cuddles for Comfort stuffed animal toy drive. Now, Northeast Opportunities for Wellness and the Girls Empowerment Group is collecting stuffed animals for the Child Advocacy Center in Northeast Connecticut. The drop off location is 181 Main Street, Danielson, Connecticut, 06239. Any stuffed animals are welcome for that. Join us Monday, May 20th at 6 p.m. when we interview Hopeville General Store Band. So another Ellis Tech guy with his
Nice.
band coming on. As always, buy local, hire local, dine local, volunteer local, and donate local. Have great days.